Continue with chapter number 8 from your political science book of grade 12, and the name of the chapter is Organs of Government, that is the judiciary. And today we are going to start from judicial review. Though this point I have explained you numerous times in my previous videos, then also let us understand the meaning and the definition of judicial review as it have been included in this chapter. Judicial review refers to the power of the court to interpret the constitution and to declare acts of the legislature, executive or administration void, or if it finds them in conflict with the supreme law, that is the constitution, then the court can directly reject that law. That is called the judicial review. In other words, judicial review is the power of the court by which it reviews the laws of the legislature and executive in cases that come before it, determines the constitutional validity of laws, and rejects that law or any of its part which is found to be unconstitutional or against the constitution. Okay, the three features govern its work. Three features. Judicial review is not automatic. The courts cannot conduct judicial review on their own. It is only when any law is challenged before them, either specially or in the process of litigation, and that the court conduct judicial review. Okay, if the courts reject any law or any part of its or any of its part, the decision comes into effect from the date of judgment. The past activity based on the said act remains operative. Okay, while rejecting any law as unconstitutional, the court has to demonstrate its unconstitutionality by citing the constitutional provisions violated by it. So, next, what is the difference between Indian and US system of judiciary review? And you can say that the judicial review in India is governed by the principle procedure established by law and not by due process of law. Okay, so which is applicable in USA. Under due process of law, the judiciary conducts a dual test of determining the issue of constitutionality of a law. First, the court examines whether the law making body had acted within the limits of power available and in accordance with the procedure laid down on it. Secondly, the court examines whether the law meets the ends of natural justice and is a reasonable law or not. If the law fails to meet either of the two tests, it is declared invalid. As against this, under the principle of procedure established by law, this is followed in India. You can say it is having only one test: whether the law has been made in accordance with the powers vested by the constitution in the lawmaking body and follows the prescribed procedure or not. The scope of judicial review under this principle is limited than the scope of the due process of law principle. Okay, so you can understand that the US judiciary system is having much more power regarding the judicial review in compared to India's one. Next, we are having the critical appraisal of judicial review power in the Indian judiciary. Undemocratic. The critics describe the judiciary the critics describe the system of judicial review as an undemocratic system which enables the court to decide the fate of the law passed by the legislatures, which represents the sovereignty, sovereign will of the people, and the national public opinion. Lack of clarity. The Constitution in India does not clearly describe the system of judicial review. Next, we are having source of administrative problem. The system is a source of problems, and when a law or any of its parts are struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, the decision and becomes effective from the date on which the judgment is delivered. Now a law faces judicial review only when a question of its constitutionality arises in any case being heard by the Supreme Court. Okay, reactionary. Several critics regard the judicial review system as a reactionary system. They hold that while determining the constitutional validity of the law, the Supreme Court often adopts a legalistic and conservative approach and rejects the progressive law enacted by the legislature. Delaying system, making the parliament irresponsible, fear of judicial tyranny, and you can say that reversal of its own decision by the Supreme Court. Okay, then independence of judiciary system. Independence of judiciary system in India. We are having the several steps taken to ensure the independence of judiciary in India. First is separation of separation of judiciary from the executive and legislature. As I have told you, no organ interferes in the decision making of the other one. So judiciary system is also totally, we can say, separated from the executive and from the legislature. Appointment of judges by the president, that is the executive, high qualification of the judges. Okay, long tenure. At the age of 65 they are retiring, that is a long tenure. Okay, security of services, that is after the job is over, then also they get a handsome salary, as not salary, handsome pension, we can say. Okay, then we are having the high salary, then we are having prohibition of practice after retirement. Also they can do some kind of practices. And what is judicial activism? Next, judicial activism. Indian judiciary has been presently becoming more and more active. The Supreme Court has been coming out with judicial decisions and directives aimed at the protecting of public interest and human rights by giving directions to the bureaucracy and police. It has been using its power to deliver judgments, decisions, and directives for fighting execution, partly towards public needs and interest. It has been giving directions to the public officers to, you can say, for checking environment pollutions, illegal constructions, and encroachments on public property, as well as for making the government a bureaucracy more transparent and responsive to public needs and demands for efficiency and action. So it has been trying to activate government administration and public against corruption and other social evils. The public interest litigation system has been in a picking up. System of lok adalats is also taking proper shape. The high courts have been intervening to prevent misuses of the government power in making recruitments, appointments, we can say promotions. The court have been trying to check malpractices on the part of public offices. So we are finding that in other words, we can say that judicial activism extends to lay down to priorities, policies, and programs, and giving directions to execute them when they are not obligatory and are entirely on the discretion of the executive and the legislature and not authorities is thereby us uprising the functions, powers, and wise wisdom, taking over detailed administration of a policy, scheme, or programs, even if they are obligatory. So, in other words, if we just try to conclude what is judicial activism means, proactive approach of the judiciary towards preventing socio-economic, uh, political, administrative condition of the country. Next, what is the public interest litigation? Public interest litigation can be described as a legal system in which the courts of law can initiate and enforce action for securing any significant public or general interest which is being adversely affected or is likely to be so by the action of any agency, public or private. In one of the judgments of the Supreme Court has been public litigation, interest litigation as a legal action initiated in the court of law for the enforcement of public interest or generally interest in which the public or a class of community has some other interest to which its legal rights or liabilities are affected. Even the judges, after reading newspapers or after reading about the particular case, can show motto, that is, initiate action for securing a matter involving general or public interest. Hopefully, you understood. Thank you.